Hello listeners and welcome to this week's recording of Boomerang. Team 3 is here. My name is Jim and your other readers are
Erin,
Nan,
Ray
and Caroline.
Andrew is our engineer tonight and he'll be doing the recording and Ray will be doing the copying and distribution. The news this week is taken with permission from the West Lothian Courier dated Thursday the 6th of March, and we are recording this on the 6th of March. Any anecdotes have been taken from the Reader's Digest, again with their permission. As usual, this recording has been divided into 4 sections, and can I remind you that when you have listened to the whole recording, please post your wallet back to us from a postbox and not from the post office. We will start the first section with some general news.
Best foot forward for running club. Members of a West Lothian running club were delighted with the success of its latest event. TRC, the running club, is a completely free local community running club based in West Lothian. It was formed just under 2 years ago by Callum Poland, Sean Rafferty and Jordan White to provide people a safe space to run, promote health and well-being whilst having a community vibe with a great social aspect. On Saturday, February the 22nd, TRC hosted its latest event sponsored by Red Bull, which saw around 120 members come together and run a 5k route around Bathgate. A TRC spokesperson said, "We are looking to get the word out about our club to be able to share these exciting events with local members of the community." TRC is aiming to host a West Lothian half marathon either this year or next, which is currently in the pipeline for us. TRC provides a minimum of 3 weekly runs that consist of Monday 5k, Thursday 10k and Friday 5k. TRC also hosts a female-only run every second Wednesday. Each of the scheduled runs all start and end within West Lothian. Our group motto is "No one is left behind." There is always a competent club member at the front and back of the running group to support, encourage and motivate runners. TRC has been a fantastic outlet to bring the local community together to promote health both physically and mentally. TRC provides a safe and positive environment that is open to anyone. People can find more information by going to TRC on Instagram at the Running Club 2023 or search the Running Club on Facebook. And there is a photograph of the current members and obviously they're a busy club. There's a lot of people in the picture.
Emma triples her business while fighting breast cancer. An inspirational West Lothian woman who managed to triple the size of her business while undergoing cancer treatment will share her success story at an industry summit. Emma Briggs, owner and director of EDB Digital Limited, has battled back twice from cancer in a decade. She has now been asked to speak at Revitalise Inspire, an event later this year where she will reveal to others how she managed to expand her own company during a year when she was undergoing chemotherapy, surgery and radiation treatment. 10 years ago, while 38-year-old Emma from Armadale was an employee at another company, she discovered she had lymphoma, which is thought to have been a sore throat. After treatment, she was given the all clear, but in December 2023, she was given a cancer diagnosis for the second time. This time, it was breast cancer. Revitalise is a worldwide networking members group across a whole range of sectors, from IT to financial services and creative industries to coaches. Emma said, they've invited different business owners along to talk about their experiences of running their own business. They've asked me to speak at it because I managed not only to keep it going while I wasn't well, but managed to do better. This was the second time I was diagnosed with cancer. The first time I was diagnosed with cancer, I was employed at the time and decided I was just going to keep working through it to keep my mind occupied. This time around, I didn't really have any other option, as I'm self-employed. I couldn't get any funding from anywhere, and nobody would hire me even for a part-time job because I was ill. So I just had to keep it going and literally didn't stop. The first time I was diagnosed 10 years ago, they said at first it was a sore throat because I had a swollen gland, but it was lymphoma, a blood cancer. I had 4 months of chemo, and then I had to keep having it checked. This time it was breast cancer, and that was a whole different ballgame. Treatment was a lot longer. It was for a full year, more or less. I actually used to get like cramps in my veins from the chemo. I couldn't hold a pen or anything. I also had hair loss after the first chemo treatment, and I was absolutely knackered. Even getting a paper cut, it wouldn't heal for months. I had a check-up, and they called today to say everything was fine, and I just burst out greeting as I was so happy. Emma had only launched her own digital marketing business in 2022, but thinks she may have always been destined to work in the industry. A blurb on her company website reveals that as a child watching cartoons on TV, she decided to write to Nickelodeon, suggesting they air the first ever episodes of each of their shows and name it Nick's Number One. The television giants did exactly that, but Emma jokes she's yet to receive any royalty check for sharing her idea. However, that moment sparked her passion for creative marketing. EDB Digital provides clients with a personal approach, and Emma takes great pride in helping other businesses to emerge, evolve and expand. Regardless of what stage of evolution they're at, startups or long-established companies. I always wanted to start my own business, and I was always doing different marketing jobs, getting as much experience in different industries and areas. The last job I was in, I just thought I could do it myself. It's strange the first time you don't get a normal paycheck and realise you're having to make your own money. I work constantly and have no such thing as a work-life balance, but I'd rather do that for myself than someone else. I'm looking to grow the business in the near future to grow to a team. I've got a dog, Pablo, so it's good working from home to be here for him. For more information on Emma's business, visit www.edbdigital.com.
Housing project back on schedule after new contractor appointed. A project to build supported housing for young people in Livingston has been saved with the appointment of a new contractor. The news came on the day councillors had sought assurances that the project, which had stalled in January, would continue. The head of housing told a special budget meeting that delays to completion of the project originally scheduled for late summer would be minimal. Ogilvy Construction Limited has been appointed as the main construction contractor to take the project forward to completion via Hub South East, a delivery partner of the council. Construction work stalled when the Ayrshire-based firm Connect Modular collapsed at the start of the year. A council spokesman confirmed this week that works are set to restart on-site imminently. At Tuesday's budget meeting, Linlithgow councillor Pauline Orr asked for updates on the site at Armandvale Crescent in Livingston. She said, "You're noting the additional supported housing in Livingston as an achievement, but the contractor has gone bust, so where are the council in respect of finding a replacement contractor? How long will the project be delayed, and will that be at further cost to the council?" Julie Whitelaw, the head of Housing, Customer and Building Services, told the meeting that the delay would be minimal, with no added financial cost to the council. She added, "The council has been working with Hub South East, our key delivery partners, to find another contractor. Ogilvy has been instructed to take on the work. There will be a slight delay, but we're hoping that it will not be a significant delay. The cost to the council will simply be in that there's a delay in the units being available for the young people. We will report back with the usual update on the capital programme, but we're pleased to announce that the delay will be minimal, a matter of months." After that announcement at the budget meeting, George Paul, the Executive Councillor for Housing Services, said, "It's very pleasing to see a contractor appointed so quickly that will allow work to recommence on site. All parties are committed to seeing work continue on this very important project to enhance social housing in the Livingston area, particularly creating specific units for homeless young people. Council officers will continue to work with Hub South East to ensure the remaining elements of the project progress to completion." Greg Jameson, Hub South East Commercial Director, said the flexibility of the Hub programme had allowed for swift solutions following the collapse of the Ayrshire firm. Demonstrating the strength of our supply chain, partnership approach and the flexibility of the Hub programme, in less than 8 weeks, we've worked closely with West Lothian Council to navigate the complexities of the situation, appoint a new contractor, and work is now underway again to provide this much-needed supported housing for young people. Ogilvy Construction is experienced in the housing sector, and we look forward to working together on this innovative project as we assist in realising our clients' commitment to the delivery of new affordable housing in West Lothian. Greer Edmead, Operations Director at Ogilvy Construction, said, "We look forward to working with West Lothian Council and Hub South East Scotland to deliver such a significant project that will benefit the community for generations to come. Our team has an extensive and proven track record in the delivery of quality, affordable housing developments across Scotland." Plans for the supported housing consists of 28 one-bedroom flats in total, with 16 flats designed to be flexible for future use as mainstream housing. Flexible office space will be provided for a maximum of 10 staff members, along with staff overnight accommodation to provide dedicated space and privacy, while still being on hand to assist and support the young people. The affordable housing element of the project will provide 20 units with a mix of 2 and 3 bedroom houses, along with 2 and 3 bedroom flats. Aldo and Anna decide to call time on Chippy. A West Lothian couple have decided to call it time on their family-run Chippy. Aldo's Takeaway, which is run by husband and wife Aldo and Anna, have spent 3 decades serving the community of East Calder. The couple have decided to retire and thank their customers and staff, past and present, for their support over the past 30 years. In a statement shared by their son, Roberto, they said, "After 30 years, we have at long last decided to hang up our aprons and retire from the Chippy. We will be closing our shop on Saturday, February the 22nd. We are deeply touched at kind messages that we've received from everyone. We will never forget the friends and the memories we've made here. and we will miss all the familiar faces. A huge thank you to our customers, staff and drivers, past and present. We are incredibly grateful for the support you have shown us over the years. It has been a pleasure to serve the community. With thanks, Aldo and Anna. The couple were met with hundreds of well wishes from their customers from over the year in a post in their local Mid and East Calder Facebook group.
Gift store owners set to close High Street shop. A West Lothian gift shop has announced it will be leaving Linlithgow High Street in an emotional message to its customers. The owners of A Wee Mindin took to social media to alert locals to their decision, citing in their post the difficulty in making the decision, and they also thanked their customers for 13 years of support. The last day of trading is set to be Saturday, March the 15th, with those at A Wee Mindin urging Linlithgow residents to continue to support businesses on the local high street amidst a difficult climate for shops. In a statement shared on their Facebook, they said there's not an easy way to say this, and I could go into detail about how I came to this decision, but ultimately it doesn't change anything. I'm closing the shop after 13 years. Our last day of trading will be Saturday, March the 15th. I'd like to say the biggest thank you to each and every one of you who have shopped with us over the years. I can honestly say that I have loved every single day coming to my work, and that is because of you. Your support has meant the world to me, and without you we wouldn't have made it past day one. We need you to know that we have loved being part of this community. The High Street is an incredibly special place, and we hope, if you're able, that you support it as much as you can, because it's the toughest it's ever been, take it from me. But it's not over completely for us. We are not giving up our business. We are just not going to have shop premises. We will still have a presence online with our cards and jewellery and trinket boxes and our handmade cards. We might pop up at fairs and markets, etc. too, so watch this space. One customer said, "So sorry to read this post. Your wee shop was lovely and your choice of merchandise was amazing. I wish you every success moving in a different direction." Another reacted, "So sorry to hear this. Love popping in when in Linlithgow. Love your cards. I've also got scarves and gloves, as you have a good selection you don't get anywhere else in the high street. Good luck to you and keep going." And someone else said, "I'm sorry to hear this. Your shop is lovely and I always knew I could find the perfect gifts there. With all good wishes for the future." Continuing online.
Bad weather brings more storm damage. Stormy weather, which swept across West Lothian last week, has brought more damage and flooding for council crews still working to clear up after Storm Eowyn. Bad weather saw 79 more calls into the Net's land and countryside teams to deal with new hazards as 60-mile-an-hour winds battered the county, hitting all areas. Damage was reported from Falthouse to Bathgate, where trees lost boughs in the town's Glasgow Road Cemetery, and B. Craig's Country Park near Linlithgow. Many woodland areas are still closed because of the January storm damage. Tree surgeons and contractors have restarted the ash dieback felling programme on B roads in the southwest end of the county around Falthouse. The aftermath of Storm Eowyn delayed ash dieback work by a month. The council's countryside teams were deluged in late January with more than 800 calls in the days following Storm Eowyn on the 24th of January. The final bill for the clear-up is expected to run into thousands of pounds in terms of work hours and contractor payments. Crews working through the January storm to make safe dangerous trees and clear roads, and were out again on Friday, tackling the most dangerous falls. They have since been working through triaged works in clearing broken and fallen trees on council-owned land and areas where there's a potential danger, such as alongside footpaths and roads. Pat McCardle from the NETS team told a meeting of the Falthouse and Breich Valley Local Area Committee that last Friday's high winds had brought in more calls. He said, "I'll give you some figures from the storm. There were 300 jobs committed and 200 have been completed. At the weekend in the mini-storm, with yellow warnings, there were 60 more added because of the high winds. Our arbour team is constantly working and we've got contractors in. We are still getting requests from rural areas that haven't been touched yet." Mr. McCardle said an initial sweep had been done of danger areas and the work triaged. A lot of initial work has been to open up areas of damage to clear the path in, and work crews will go back to reassess. This year the workload will be excessive, he added. Councillor Pauline Clark said, "There has to be masses of commendations given to the arborists and others involved after the two storms. I think the work the council has done in that regard has been absolutely fantastic." She added that one of her concerns was over trees that have been damaged and may present a danger in the next storm. Mr. McCardle said that staff had to assess damage in all areas after initial make-safe work. Further works is undertaken to clear fallen trees and debris that has been made safe, and then to return to check the safety of what is still standing. He added, "We have a duty of care to assess the damage. We will go back and revisit. All areas will be assessed for damaged trees." Felling work for ash dieback is now underway on the B7010 around Falthouse, the B792, which runs through the ward from West Calder to Blackburn, and the B7015, which runs through Stonyburn to join the main north-south A701. A council spokesperson said, "There were 79 separate inquiries, tree incidents reported by the public after the most recent high winds. We also had multiple trees down again on managed woodland sites, including Beecraigs and Calderwood, where we have continued working to get paths cleared."
Vehicle theft on the rise. Police are asking owners of vehicles to be aware following a number of thefts across West Lothian. A blue VW Golf R was stolen from Onslow Street, Craigs Hill, having been parked and secured on the driveway at 11 p.m. on Friday, February 28th. Other items were taken from the property after entry was gained. About 1:30 a.m. on Saturday, March the 1st, a white Golf R was taken from East Lodge Up Hall. The vehicle was subsequently recovered on the M9 motorway after the occupants had made off in a separate grey Audi S3. A short time later, around 1:50 a.m, two people entered a business premises in Goshen Place, Broxburn, stealing keys for vehicles. However, no vehicles were stolen at this time. Around 3:30 a.m. the same day, people wearing balaclavas were seen at the side of a property in Redmill Court, Whitburn. Entry was not gained to the property and they left the area in a white VW Golf R, believed to be the one taken from Up Hall. Around 1:30 a.m. on Monday, March the 3rd, police received a report of the attempted theft of a VW Golf and a Range Rover from Kingswell Crescent in Broxburn. Later, around 2:50 a.m, a grey Audi was stolen from West Holmes Place in Uphall. This was later traced. Around 3:10 a.m, a BMW and a Jaguar were stolen from a driveway in Forkneuk Road, Uphall. Both vehicles were traced nearby a short time later. Inspector John Fleming said, "We have officers investigating these crimes as a matter of priority in an effort to disrupt this criminal activity. We are treating these incidents as linked and would appeal for anyone with information to contact us. We'd strongly urge the public to ensure security measures are in place to try to protect vehicles. If you have a garage, please use it to secure your vehicle out of sight. Ensure your vehicle is locked and all valuables removed when not in use. Trackers and tracking devices are also a form of additional security."
Banter T-shirts selling well for Derek's dream. A West Lothian man is realising his dream after launching his own Scottish Banter clothing brand. Derek McEwen, 48, who lives in Bathgate and works as a crane driver full-time, decided to launch his own brand, 176 Clothing, with the support of his girlfriend Jill. The native Glaswegian had, in the past, created T-shirts he'd wear at music festivals, which would have provocative Scottish branding or slogans. In its infancy, the brand has already been able to boast Scottish celebs, such as Tam Cowan, among their customers. Derek said a number of his designs were inspired from his time living in Glasgow. "I have always been interested in designing my own clothes ever since I started going clubbing in the 90s, he said. I was motivated through making my own T-shirts as I continued to get older and was still getting a lot of compliments on them. But it was around 2 summers ago when the stars aligned to give me some free time and the inspiration to chase the dream. I was stood down on a job and had a week to myself in an Airbnb in Lewis. This was when I decided to research opening my own website. 176 Clothing was birthed with Derek keen to try to create a unique and profane Scottish banter clothing brand. He said his motivation was to design bold, provocative items which would act as conversation starters. I wanted to make something that is high quality but also stands out, he said. What I've enjoyed most is the satisfaction of seeing someone wearing one of my T-shirts / hoodies. I've had okay success so far, and I've had a few celebrities who have worn them, like Tam Cowan. I would love for this to become my full-time job at some point. The most challenging obstacle for me so far has been the social media game, because at the moment it's all online. Generating posts and getting interaction with my posts, as well as driving traffic to the website, is a work in progress, but I'm learning all the time. Derek has said he hopes 176 Clothing can become his full-time job in the future, and he is committed to coming up with new designs as he evolves the business. He added he has received great support from those close to him in his venture. Those close to me have been nothing but supportive to me. We have a few other entrepreneurs in the family and we all like to support each other, and generally, if we go to gigs or festivals, I'm the guy they come to for T-shirts, he said. My advice to anyone wanting to follow their dream is don't wait. Try it. You'll never know. It took me over 20 years to actually take the plunge, and even with the limited success I've had so far, I can still say that I run and own a clothing brand that I'm very proud of. And there's a nice picture of Derek.
And that takes us to the end of part 1. We'll be back with part 2 very shortly. Welcome back to part 2, and the first part of part 2 will be the family intimations. Kevin Francis Byrne. Peacefully at home with his loving family by his side on Tuesday, the 18th of February 2025, Kevin is 79 years. Beloved husband to the late Mary, treasured dad to Melissa, Therese and Kevin, cherished granddad to Rory, loving brother to Lillian and a dear friend and neighbour, will be deeply missed by all who knew him. Cook Margaret, née Walker, 19/1/1936 to 24/2/2025, from Bathgate. Peacefully at home with her family by her side, Margaret, aged 89 years, a much-loved wife of the late Wallace, beloved mum, gran and great-gran. Margaret will be sadly missed. Watt, Jack, 11/6/1935 to 26/2/2025. Peacefully at Peacock Nursing Home on Wednesday the 26th of February 2025, Jack, dearly loved husband of the late Esther, a much-loved dad, granddad, great-granddad and uncle, will be sadly missed by all who knew him. Wickstead, Patricia, maiden name Finlay, Pat, on Saturday the 15th of February 2025, Patricia Wickstead from Bell's Quarry, Livingston, passed away at the age of 85 years in St John's Hospital, Livingston, following a short illness. She will be remembered by her daughter, Andrina and Deborah. And that's the end of the notices, and we'll carry on with some more news items.
International flavour for 12-day beer festival. A range of real ales, including 5 from international brewers, will be available at the New Year Field in Livingston during its 12-day beer festival. The Weatherspoon pub in Amondale Avenue will host the festival from Wednesday, March the 5th to Sunday, March the 16th. The overseas brewers, all female, are from Italy, Canada, New Zealand, Australia and the USA. The beers on sale in the festival have not previously been available at the pub. A number of beers have been brewed for the first time, exclusively for the festival. Among the festival collections are vegan beers, also suitable for vegetarians. As well as featuring a range of different malt and hop varieties from around the world, there are also beers that include cherries and cocoa beans in their ingredients. The beers will cost £1.99 a pint. Pub manager Nicola Loftus said, "The festival is a great celebration of real ale. It will allow us to showcase a selection of superb beers, featuring beers not previously available to our customers in the pub. These include those from brewers as far afield as Australia and New Zealand, as well as those closer to home over a 12-day period. All of the beers will be available at great value for money prices."
Primary school is named Best in Scotland on Times League. A West Lothian primary school has been named as the best in Scotland in the Sunday Times Primary School League table. Our Lady of Lourdes Primary in Blackburn was able to provide every child they sent to high school with a solid grasp of reading, writing and numbers for the first time ever, despite having multiple pupils from areas of deprivation. Cuddly toys are handed out to comfort new pupils, but are also incorporated into use in the classrooms, with a large teddy placed in a chill-out area to support children's learning. Teachers argued the toys helped pupils to let their feelings out by projecting them onto the bear, and also brings the class together so that they can help support each other. A drop in disruptive behaviour was visible, and staff claimed the initiative created more open and caring pupils. Our Lady of Lourdes referenced the teddy bear policy as among the reasons for its success in a progress report to West Lothian Council. Head teacher Eileen Brennan said the policy is about being friendly and welcoming, providing cuddles and comfort, and being non-judgmental. The school also introduced a scheme to reduce the cost of the school day, with initiatives such as free breakfast club, access to school uniforms, and collaboration with the parish and community groups to ensure pupils can participate in school trips. It's all about getting our children in a state of learning readiness, and it comes down to our environment, said Mrs. Brennan. It's also about meeting those basic needs. Have they had something to eat in the morning? If they haven't, we make sure there's something available for them. Schools submit data on the percentage of pupils up to standard in reading, writing and numeracy, and combined listening and talking. The Sunday Times aggregates this data into maximum score of 400. A record 89 schools scored top marks this year, up from 85 last year, and just 52 when the government first began compiling data in 2016-17. Schools with a higher proportion of deprived pupils are weighted to rise up the Sunday Times Primary School League table to recognise their achievement in delivering a good education despite the challenges of poverty. The data is based on teacher judgment and are drawn from the same government statistics policymakers use to make decisions about schools and nurseries in Scotland. Almost 1,200 primary schools submitted data.
SNP leader shocked as debate on centres blocked. West Lothian's minority Labour administration have been accused of running from communities after a bid to discuss closure-threatened community facilities was blocked. West Lothian's SNP leader, Councillor Janet Campbell, hit out after Provost Cathy Muldoon ruled that the SNP budget proposals for funds to save this week could not be debated. Standing orders rule that where decisions have been made, they cannot be debated within 6 months. The SNP contested that a decision in January by the executive to include school community wings and partnership buildings in the community centre's savings plan was a material change to the initial plans, and further debate should be allowed. The budget debate on Tuesday saw a range of new investments announced, as well as cuts and an increase of 8.95% in council tax. Councillor Campbell told the local Democracy Reporting Service, "I am shocked and saddened at the ruling administration's decision to close down a debate on saving valuable local assets for the future of West Lothian." She added, "Despite working with officers to ensure this amendment was competent, the administration chose to remove key wording from the SNP amendment in terms of saving our community centres. The only reason I can give for this undemocratic decision is that Labour are running away from the fact communities across West Lothian are angry at the way in which Labour's supposed consultation has been received across the county." Speaking at a meeting of the Policy and Resources PDSP a few days before the budget, Julie Whitelaw, the head of Housing, Customer and Building Services, promised further detailed talks with management committees of community centres. She told councillors, "As reported, 29 of the 31 did respond, and I think that is a really positive response. I think we have to recognise that community centre management committees have undertaken a huge amount of work to review the options available. They have engaged with officers,
they have attended workshops, and the next steps are to carry out further detailed work with management committees, so I think it's been a very positive response from management committees. Speaking after the budget meeting, Councillor Campbell said the SNP group had included funding to ensure full and proper consultation, including the provision of all information to work with management committees in order to save our community centres in the amendment. Councillor Campbell said, however, the Labour-Tory administration rejected this out of hand and forced the SNP group to remove this from their amendment. Chairing the meeting, the Labour Provost, Falthouse and Breich Valley Councillor Muldoon, told the SNP leader that she had acted on advice from the council's governance manager to ask the party to withdraw the element around community centres because it contravened standing orders. The SNP had also called on the council to protect 9 nursery schools which face closure later this year and proposed a council tax figure of 7.5%. Commenting on the party's wider budget proposals, the opposition group's deputy leader, Bathgate's Pauline Stafford, said, "This SNP budget amendment looked to protect valued public assets, including nurseries and community centres, over the long term, while keeping tax rises to a minimum. The SNP group recognised the need for good planning and preventative spend to build stronger communities with better outcomes for our residents."
Michelle ready to change your life. Slimming World Group to open at Centre. A new Slimming World Group will be opening its doors at the recently refurbished Lanthorn Community Centre in Dedridge. The group, led by new consultant Michelle McInnes, promises to offer support and motivation for those looking to make lasting changes to their health and lifestyle. Local woman Michelle from Dedridge successfully lost and maintained weight in the past and understands the hurdles of a weight loss journey. Excited to share her journey with others, Michelle is looking forward to welcoming new members to the group. "I'm thrilled to be opening my own Slimming World group in the community," she said. "I know how hard it can be to take that first step, but with the right support, it can truly change your life. I can't wait to help others in the same way I was helped." In 2022, she broke her ankle, which led to a weight gain and a loss of confidence. Feeling frustrated with her inability to find clothes that fit, she decided that she needed support to be able to lose the weight. Michelle's life took a turn for the better in August 2024 when she joined a Slimming World group. Although she initially felt nervous about joining a group, she joined with her sister and soon met other members who were on their own journey too. Within the first 90 minutes, she discovered that she would be able to eat delicious food without the need to count calories or ever going hungry. This was a big thing for Michelle, as she always had worried about eating carbs. Now she is loving the variety of free foods that she can enjoy without weighing or measuring, her favourite being chicken balti, a dish her entire family enjoys. Michelle began to adopt healthier habits such as stopping between meal snacking and learn to embrace new ways of living. It wasn't long before Michelle found that the weekly group sessions provided her with the mindset and tools to achieve a total weight loss of 1 stone 7 pounds to get back to her dream weight. Through the support of her consultant Gay Malcolm and the camaraderie of other group members, Michelle not only transformed her body but also her outlook on life. She now enjoys running and understands the importance of physical activity in maintaining long-term weight loss. Slimming World has a unique Slim for Life programme which supports members to maintain their target weight for life. Michelle's sister Carol has also been successful on her own journey, losing an incredible 4 stones so far in 6 months. Excited to share her journey with others, Michelle is looking forward to welcoming new members to the group in Dedridge. Local district manager for Slimming World, Stuart Malcolm, said, Michelle embraced all the support of her local group and we are all so proud of her achievement. We are delighted to be back in the Lanthorn Community Centre since the building has reopened, and I know Michelle will be a fantastic support to new and past members. The new group will meet on Wednesday evenings starting March 12th at the Lanthorn Community Centre with sessions at 5:30pm and 7pm. Michelle invites anyone looking to make positive changes to come along and take the first step towards a healthier, happier life. For more information or to join, contact Michelle on 07988 027 053 or just come along.
Council confirms fence repairs. A programme of repairs for boundary fences of council homes in West Lothian is being organised for later this year. A high number of fences were brought down during the period of the red weather warning for high winds due to Storm Owen in January, with council officers attending to making fences safe to prevent further risks or damage. A council spokesperson said to ensure all boundary fences are repaired, a programme of work is to be progressed for each area, and details of where and when repairs are carried out will be notified to tenants as soon as the programme is confirmed. The council will only maintain boundary fencing, which is normally to the immediate front or back of your home, or where the fence divides your home with a public area, such as a footpath or a separate block. Tenants are responsible for maintaining the fence that divides their home from their neighbours. For example, if you reside in a 4-in-a-block style property, you would be responsible for any fencing between you and the neighbours within your block. If council tenants share a dividing fence, they are encouraged to reach an agreement for a shared cost with their neighbour. If a council tenant shares a dividing fence with a homeowner, the council won't carry out any repairs. If the homeowner wishes to undertake repairs and maintenance to the dividing fence, they should contact the council to request a shared cost repair. To do this, the owner should contact hio@westlothian.gov.uk for more details. For further details, please check your tenant's handbook or visit the council's website. If any council tenants has a fence that you think is potentially dangerous and it has not been reported, please report it to www.westlothian.gov.uk.
Arrest made after alleged theft at pub. A West Lothian man has been arrested following an alleged break-in and theft at a pub. A 23-year-old man has been charged in connection with the incident, which saw windows broken and items reportedly stolen from the Tower Bar in Livingston. Owners have said alcohol, tip jars and a collection bottle were taken at around 3:50am on Sunday, February 23rd. It's understood that the alarms at the pub went off during the incident. Posting online, the Tower Bar said, "Pub got broken into during the night, guys. The scumbag has broken 2 windows, stolen alcohol, tip jars and the collection bottle for the pensioners' Christmas party and done some other damage too." A Police Scotland spokesperson said, around 3:50am on Sunday the 23rd of February 2025, we were called to a report of a break-in to premises in Adelaide Street, Livingston. Officers attended and a 23-year-old man was later arrested and charged in connection with the incident.
More time to explore funding plans. Community centre management teams will have another month to explore potential future funding plans, including increasing charges as part of wider budget cutbacks aiming to save £1 million. In an update to councillors, the Head of Housing, Customer and Building Services, Julie Whitelaw, said the revised saving plans, which were scheduled to come to the Council Executive in early March, would be pushed back to the April meeting. A meeting of the Corporate Policy and Resources PDSP heard this will give more time to look at alternative funding sources. It was welcomed by John Sivis, representing the Joint Forum of Community Councils, speaking on behalf of community centre management teams which had contacted the forum. SNP Group Leader Janet Campbell asked why the update was necessary at all, given the assurances Council Leader Lawrence Fitzpatrick had given to local community councils this week that no centres would be lost. In May last year, the Council went to management committees of all community centres with 3 options for the future in the bid to save more than £1 million. These were 1. A transfer of ownership under Community Asset Transfer, CAT. 2. Full repairing and insuring lease agreements, FRI lease. And 3. Recharging operating costs to community centre management committees, the default arrangement. To date, only 2 management committees, Winchborough and West Calder, have chosen the first option. 4 have chosen the second, and 2 the third. The majority of the remaining 21 have chosen alternative solutions. Councillors heard that none of these solutions would help achieve the £1 million savings. Little over half that sum, $570,000, would be saved if the plan progresses without change. Some management committees have agreed to look at increasing charges and costs to user groups. The report highlighted that where there are no management committees, council officers would look to engage with the wider community or the management teams of neighbouring centres to seek ways of keeping venues operational. Mrs. Whitelaw said, "The report proposes that the lease with recharge of costs will be the default for all remaining management committees, and officers will seek approval from Council Executive to progress new lease arrangements. Further discussions will be required with management committees to confirm the level recharge to ensure the level of savings can be met, and this will include a review of charging policies and opportunities to generate additional income, as well as a review of the staffing required to support the operation of the community centre." Councillor Campbell said, "Do we believe that the engagement carried out has succeeded with the management of local facilities given the number of hostile responses we've had?" Mrs. Whitelaw said, "As reported, 29 of the 31 did respond, and I think that this is a really positive response. I think we have to recognise that community centre management committees have undertaken a huge amount of work to review the options available. They have engaged with officers, they have attended workshops, and the next steps are to carry out further detailed work with management committees, so I think it's been a very positive response from management committees." Councillor Campbell suggested the inclusion only in January of school community wings and partnership centres in the saving plans suggested that this was not the case. Mr. Sivis said, "Whilst we appreciate the amount of work that's already gone into this exercise, it's obvious from responses that extra time will be required because if we're going to raise charges and look for new groups, it's going to take time to do that. Therefore, an extension is very important." One of the other things that community centre managements have said to us is that they would like to see a more detailed breakdown of costs and projections going forwards. Most are volunteers and have probably never been faced with this before.
Speeding crackdown. West Lothian police caught out several drivers following reports of excessive speeding and dangerous driving in the area. Local community policing officers carried out road checks and targeted patrols this weekend and say 7 drivers were caught committing a number of serious road traffic offences. The checks took place in Livingston, Linlithgow, Uphall and Roxburn, with 1 male being arrested, 2 drivers having their vehicles seized and various others receiving fines. Officers say some of the offences detected included driving without a licence, driving without insurance, driving under the influence of drugs, being behind the wheel while using a mobile phone and driving carelessly. Several people were cautioned and charged, with some reported to the Procurator Fiscal and others face losing their licence. A number of other drivers were also banned, with fixed penalty tickets for poor parking, which reportedly caused risks to pedestrians, and others were given advice about the standards of their driving or conditions of their vehicle. Police also engaged with drivers involved in car meets in the area, reminding them of the required standards of safe driving and consideration for other drivers and residents. Community Police Sergeant Lee Brodie said, "We were encouraged to note that the majority of the vehicles we observed were driven and maintained to the corrected standards, and most drivers engaged well with us, acknowledging the requirements to drive legally and with consideration for others. Unfortunately, a minority of drivers were engaged in unsafe driving behaviour. As a result, our officers did not hesitate to take swift action and enforce the required standards, taking vehicles and drivers off the road immediately when required. This demonstrated our commitment to responding to local concerns and road safety in the areas."
And that brings us to the end of part 2, and we'll be back with part 3 very shortly. Welcome back to part 3, and part 3 is our quiz questions, and there's 6 pub quiz questions, and remember to listen in to the start of part 4 for the answers to the quiz. Here we go, 6 quiz questions. Question 1. What is the name of the St. Bernard dog who was the star of a 1992 comedy film starring Charles Grodin and Bonnie Hunt? Is it Berlois, Bach or Beethoven? Question 2. Which valley on the Arizona-Utah state line is famous for red sandstone pillars such as the Mittens and Totem Pole? Is it Monument Valley, Death Valley, or the Grand Canyon? Question 3. On which type of surface is the hockey-like game bandy played? Is it played on clay, ice, or grass? Question 4. For what does the computing acronym IT stand? Is it Information Technology, Internet Technology, or Intelligent Technology? Question 5. Which American songwriter and composer wrote the songs Night and Day and I Get a Kick Out of You? Was it Cole Porter, Louis Armstrong, or George Gershwin? And last question, question 6. What is the name of the sequel to Julie Donaldson's and Axel Scheffer's picture book The Gruffalo? Is it The Gruffalo's Wife, The Gruffalo's Child, or The Return of the Gruffalo? That's the 6 questions. We'll be back at the start of part 4 with the answers to the questions. Hello folks, back to part 4 and the answers to the pub quiz. What is the name of the St. Bernard dog who is the star of the 1982 comedy film starring Charles Grodin and Bonnie Hunt? Is it Berlioz, Bach or Beethoven? And the answer is Beethoven. Question 2. Which valley on the Arizona-Utah state line is famous for red sandstone pillars such as the Mittens and Totem Pole? Is it Monument Valley, Death Valley or the Grand Canyon? And the answer is Monument Valley. Question 3. On what type of surface is the hockey-like game bandy played? Is it clay, ice or grass? And the answer is ice. Question 4. For what does the computing acronym IT stand? Is it Information Technology, Internet Technology or Intelligent Technology? And the answer is Information Technology. Question 5. Which American songwriter and composer wrote the songs Night and Day and I Get a Kick Out of You? Was it Cole Porter, Louis Armstrong or George Gershwin? And the answer is Cole Porter. And the last question, what is the name of the sequel to Julie Donaldson's and Axel Scheffer's picture book The Gruffalo? Was it The Gruffalo's Wife, The Gruffalo's Child, or The Return of the Gruffalo? And the answer was The Gruffalo's Child. And that's the pub quiz questions, and we'll move on to a final round of news items.
Vets launch out-of-hours service. A Linlithgow veterinary practice has announced the launch of its out-of-hours service providing round-the-clock emergency care. Westport Vets is launching Westport 24 on April 28th. Westport has taken on 4 new veterinary surgeons, 1 emergency critical care specialist and 3 registered veterinary nurses to facilitate the new 24-hour service. Westport Veterinary Clinic owner and senior vet surgeon Stuart McMorrow said, "We know how worrying it can be when a pet needs emergency care, especially late at night. Clients told us they wanted an out-of-hours service that kept them with a team they know and trust. Westport 24 does exactly that. High-quality, 24/7 emergency care from our expert vets at a significantly lower cost than the current alternatives. We're making emergency care more affordable, more accessible, and more familiar for our clients and their pets. A huge benefit is that no long-distance travel will be required, out of hours for clients, emergency care being locally available. Westport 24 will offer emergency consultations at a fraction of the usual cost for out-of-hours care. To make it even more affordable, Westport Vets are introducing a brand new membership, WP24, which provides an absolutely massive discount on emergency consultations. Stuart Morrow added, "Our goal is simple, to provide expert out-of-hours care at a much lower cost than other emergency options while maintaining the highest standards of veterinary treatment. To ensure a smooth transition, our new dedicated out-of-hours team will be working in our main practice during regular hours in the coming weeks. This will give them time to get settled, train and meet our clients before WP24 officially launches. We're incredibly excited about this next step and look forward to providing even better service."
Cash given in bid to tackle violence. MSP's delight at grassroots investment. Linlithgow MSP Fiona Hislop has welcomed the Scottish Government announcement that more than 100 organisations across Scotland who are working to tackle violence against women and girls will share in a funding uplift of £2.4 million. The funding boost will bring the total Scottish Government investment in Delivering Equally Safe, which funds projects to prevent violence and support survivors, up to £21.6 million for the year ahead, subject to the 2025-26 Scottish budget being approved. Fiona said, "Grassroots organisations across West Lothian are key in tackling violence against women and girls. Their work is essential and will help to create a country that is free from gender-based abuse. Several organisations available to women across Scotland have received funding, including Children First, Rape Crisis Scotland and Scottish Women's Aid. This funding will also support West Lothian Council and West Lothian Women's Aid to tackle gender-based violence in West Lothian. I'm proud to see the Scottish Government provide this funding boost, which will help prevent abuse and ensure that women and girls who have experienced violence can access the support they not only need but deserve. Anyone who needs support can contact West Lothian Women's Aid on 01506 413 721. Alternatively, email info@wlwa.org.uk.
Gardeners really dig new orchard, planting for the future. A blue sky day greeted the enthusiastic gardeners gathered on the land adjacent to Hobart Street in Craigshill. The concept of an orchard had been mooted for a while, but only came to fruition as part of Almond's 30th anniversary and their contractor community benefits scheme. Every time Almond goes out to tender for a piece of work, a criterion of that contract includes a community benefit element. This is where the supplier gives back for the benefit of the local community, which could be in the form of products, labour, or even employing a local apprentice. The Hobart Street Community Orchard involved 4 of Almond's contractors. They are Crinkell's, formerly Continental, and Response Building Maintenance Services Scotland Limited, who have both worked with Almond for many of their 30 years, provided the trees, 37 in total, a mix of predominantly apple with some pear and plum. McTaggart's group, who came along on the day with a rather useful hole-bearing machine, plus 3 members of staff to help out, and Almond Enterprise Limited, who donated manpower. In addition, there were colleagues from Almond, including the Chief Executive John Davidson and Director of Asset Management Iona Taylor, who were both put to work. Growing Together project team leader David Tattern said, "Local people had been telling us for a while that they would love to have a community orchard, and having scoped various plots of land owned by Almond Housing Association, we felt that the ground just along from the Hobart Street Community Garden would work really well. The trees were a lot bigger than we expected, which is actually quite beneficial because they have a good chance of bedding in successfully and maybe even bearing some fruit this year. The area will be maintained as part of Almond's landscape contract, with trees having been placed a reasonable distance apart to ensure easy access for the lawnmower. There is no intention to install any furniture at the site, although signage will be fitted for easy identification of the trees. As the local housing association, we want to help wherever possible to enhance the areas in which our tenants live," said Almond CEO John Davidson. "We hope the local community will embrace and take care of the orchard. We look forward to watching its blossom, and of course we can't wait to eat some fruit." And there's a nice picture of all the gardeners with forks and spades at the ready.
And that brings us to the end of part 4, and although that brings us to the end of the news from the Courier, please stay tuned and I'll let you know when we have finally finished the recording. Ray, one of our team, has been out and about again and has recorded an interview with Mike Niles, who is the CEO of Carers of West Lothian. Hello, listeners, and welcome to another edition of our interview feature. This time we've been lucky enough to persuade the CEO of Carers of West Lothian, CAL, Mike Niles, to take some time out of his busy schedule and sit in the hot seat. So without further ado, we'll begin. Welcome, Mike, and thank you very much for making the time available to speak to us.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It's really nice to have a chat today.
Can you give our listeners a brief introduction to you as a person? How long have you been with CAL? What's your background? Are there any interesting snippets that our listeners could know?
Well, I don't know about interesting, but I'll give it a go. I have been at CAL fairly recently. I joined in July 2024 as the CEO, so I've only been sort of in the hot seat for a short while. And actually, I've only really been in Scotland for a similar amount of time. As you can tell from my voice, I'm from the dodgy side of the border, but I'm from Yorkshire, so I'm from the good bit of England. But yeah, so I've been up here for a while. I've worked in the charity sector in England and also abroad for maybe sort of 12 or 13 years. And yeah, before that, down in London and sort of working for different organisations. But it's been recently that I moved up to Scotland and especially into West Lothian. So I'm kind of getting to grips with everything, still learning the names of the areas and trying to find my way around. There's a lot of roundabouts. But no, I've been so welcomed, and it's been by the organisation and the team here, but also by anyone I encounter from other organisations and in the community, and particularly the unpaid carers and the young carers and the disabled people that are benefiting from the services have just been so welcoming. I think from the first week, I was having my clothing choices challenged, my hair, my beard. And I think when people start taking the mickey out of you, you know they're welcoming you.
Thank you. Now we know a little bit more about you. I wonder if you could give us a brief overview of what Carers of West Lothian does and what services the organisation offers, and whether there is anything that CAL offers which is specifically for people with visual impairment.
Yeah, of course. So I'll give you a brief overview. Fundamentally, Carers of West Lothian, CAL, is here to support any unpaid carer, any young carer, or any person who is disabled in West Lothian. Now, for the most part, we find that people don't consider themselves to be a carer, especially at the beginning. They just see themselves as a partner or a daughter or a son or a sibling or anything, and they're just doing what you do in that sort of role. But you are a carer. You know, if you're spending your time and supporting someone that you love and who, you know, it might be an auntie, it might be a relative, you are classed as a carer, and there's so much support out there for you, and we provide loads. So Carers of West Lothian provides immediate support. So fundamentally, it's any information, advice, or guidance of how to navigate what is a quite complicated setup with self-directed support, or with the health system, or with what financial support you can get in the position of being a carer. And also if there's any additional support needed for your cared for person, how to navigate that. But fundamentally, our aim is to keep people empowered to live the life that they want to live, whether that's a carer or a disabled person. So we work really, really hard to maintain people in their caring role, to make sure they can carry on caring, that they're looking after themselves. So we offer counselling support, we offer group support, so you can just spend a couple of hours break from your caring role to be alongside other people who get it, who are in a similar position, who understand the stresses and strains and, you know, the pressure that people face in these roles. So we have those peer support groups. We also have breaks from caring, so we have opportunities to get vouchers and to get a little bit of funding towards just a weekend away, just an opportunity either with or without your cared for person just to recharge. That could be like a hot air balloon ride. You could buy a bicycle because that might be something you want to keep fit and active. You could go away for a spa weekend, just whatever's going to keep you topped up, essentially, and able to continue supporting the person who you care for. So it's really varied. It's an organisation that's been here for maybe 32 or 33 years now. So it's really established in the community, and you know, we support, there's around 8,500 people on our database in the area who have or do access support regularly. So it's something that I'm, like I say, I'm relatively new, but I'm so passionate about the support that it gives and the benefit it brings to society of keeping carers in their roles. So just to answer your final question about this, I know I'm babbling on a bit, sorry. We are a disability confident organisation, so we're constantly always working to make sure that we are as accessible and as varied as possible, so people can access us in so many different ways. At the moment, really excitingly, we're developing a brand new website. This is going to be, not only is it going to be up to date with the latest information and accessing, you can go on and access the latest data, but also we're going to produce so many more videos, tutorials, step-by-step guides that people, particularly with any visual impairment, can listen to, from a real person, someone who works here, the step-by-step guide of how to access certain services, how to get the support. Some of it's really complicated. So to really break it down of what is the best way to navigate, the difficult and sometimes stressful structures that exist. So we're working really hard on making our content as accessible as possible and also ways of communicating with us. So most people either drop us an email or give us a call, but we know that's not for everyone, particularly if you're a young carer, you're not going to pick up the phone. I don't know if young people necessarily know how to pick up a phone and ring someone. So we're introducing WhatsApp. We're also introducing things like TikTok, so our message can get out to people of all different ages in all different formats. And no matter how you receive your information, hopefully there's a way of contacting us and we can offer that support.
Thank you. That's certainly a very comprehensive overview. In today's financial climate, it must be challenging for you to maintain the level of service you want to give. I imagine you have to do a lot of fundraising. And do you get your funding from local or central government?
Yeah, you're right. It is a really challenging financial time at the moment for all charities. It is a mixture of a few. We get some government funding, and particularly when it comes to breaks for carers. So around 28% of carers across Scotland live in poverty. So they are also really struggling financially. So we get money from the government to access breaks, but also to access things like vouchers for Asda or for other shops, so they can get the food that they need for the family. And similarly, around 35% of all carers didn't have a single day off their caring role in 2024. So this funding that comes from government and from local authority is actually critical for allowing people to just take that time out for themselves. So yeah, we do get some funding from the public purse, but we also have to do a lot of work. Around half of our funding comes from our own fundraising. So we get grants and foundations and trusts. So we apply to them and say, this is the work we're going to do. For example, particularly to support dementia carers, people who are supporting someone with a diagnosis of dementia, or parent carers who maybe have young children who they're trying to support. So there's different pots of money to support specific groups. So we bring in around half of our funding comes from those methods as well.
Thank you. As you know, Boomerang is staffed entirely by volunteers. Do you have staff as well as volunteers?
We do, yeah. It's a good mixture. I think we've got around 20 staff, not full-time, part-time hours, but with really different specialisms. So some work in the counselling team, some work specialising with young carers, so they're out and about in primary and secondary schools across West Lothian. And then we have a really robust support team, experts in their field, who you just pick up the phone to them or drop them a message and they have all the connections with the right routes of social care. They know the law, so the legal avenues. We support with power of attorney clinics, with financial advice clinics. There's actually one going on right now. So they have the knowledge and expertise to point people in the right direction straight away. So we have a great staff team spread across the whole of West Lothian, which, as I'm learning, is massive. So we're out and about in all the different localities as well. But we have an amazing team of volunteers. This morning, for example, is our coffee morning, and it's run predominantly by volunteers. And they're there to welcome and to make people who are coming in just to get that support as unpaid carers, just to feel welcome, to feel that they're among friends. It's a safe space. You know, some people come in and they're exhausted and they just need that moment to just sit down with a cuppa and to be alongside people who get it. So our volunteers are worth their weight in gold. So yeah, it's a real mixture.
Excellent. Can you tell our listeners how they get in contact with CAL and what kind of issues you can help them with?
Yeah, and loads of ways. And actually, like I said, we're trying to improve the ways. So there's more and more. I think one thing that, just before I go into the ways of contacting, is that it's such a big issue, unpaid care, and the importance of getting this right for all of us. Like 2/3 of every one of us will be an unpaid carer at some point in our life for someone we love. So we want to make it as accessible as possible. So however you communicate, we want you to be able to communicate with us. So normally people give us a call if you're that way inclined. So our number is 01506 448 000. That's our main phone line. You'll come through to our team, who then can basically have a chat, understand your situation, what it is you need, and then we basically kick into action and get the next things going. You can also email us. The email is office@carers-westlothian.com, and our website as well, which is www.carers-westlothian.com. Like I say, more and more things coming in. If you're of the TikTok age, or if you're inclined of that route, we're going to be doing things like that. We're also on all the social medias. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, but soon we'll be on WhatsApp. And it just hopefully gives people so many ways to get in touch. And you may know what you want. You may know as an unpaid carer, actually, I need help with this or that. You actually may have no clue what's available. So giving us a call either way, either you can tell us what you think you need, or we can talk with you and offer what we know is out there. And obviously, it's a bit like a menu. You can pick and choose what you think would work for you. But yeah, we just encourage anyone who just needs that little bit of a chat or support, or just to have that 5 minutes where someone's listening to you and listening to what you need. That's why we're here. That's why we exist. So we'd encourage anyone to just get in touch.
Thank you. Now I have to actually admit to a bit of self-interest in this interview, because I was under the care of Carers of West Lothian back in 2021, and I have to say that they really are worth their weight in gold, because they helped me a lot. And they celebrated their 30th birthday in 2022, and as you all know, I write an occasional poem. Well, I wrote a poem for Carers of West Lothian, so it's called Carers of West Lothian 30 Years On. 30 years, the days has flown, but in that time how Cowell has grown. It started small, but there was need, and those it helped are friends indeed. Now it has so much to give, to help so many just to live, to ease the pain that is so real, to find a way to help them heal the wounds that life inflicts on all, to pick them up whene'er they fall. It sees success come from its aid, the smile that means the debt is paid. Let's not forget the volunteers that give their time, their voice, their ears, and staff that care, cut through red tape, not superheroes in a cape. Just folk that work so hard to make our lives as sweet as chocolate cake. I think that it is plain to see the difference made to you and me. And so I bring this to an end. Let's raise a glass to Cowell, our friend. And with that glass, let's all say cheers. And here's to Cowell and 30 years and many more years yet to come. Let's shout it out and not keep mum. It should be broadcast far and wide that Cowell is always on your side. With groups, events and days away, there's so much left that I could say. Just know that someone's there to care and make your burden less to bear. That's what they did to help me, and that was my payment to them.
And it's worth saying that's a beautiful poem, and it's on our front door. So every single person who walks into the building gets welcomed with that, and I think it's so powerful. So thank you so much for that.
Not at all. And it just really remains for me to say that today has been very helpful, and thank you once again for making the time to speak with us.
No, it's so lovely, and thank you so much for allowing us to talk to your audience. It's a real privilege. Thank you.
Well, listeners, that brings us to the end of this interview. We hope you've enjoyed it, and we will bring you another feature soon.
Also, in our recording sessions, we have started to include, where possible, a poem or a composition written and read by one of our team, Ray. So, before we wind up our session, perhaps Ray would again read out one of his compositions. Over to you, Ray.
This is called Writer's Block. I walked and saw a tree upon a hill, but all I felt was vacant emptiness. Wild flowers grew on grassy banks, but still I could not write about them with success. The sun shone, but I was not warm at all. The rain fell, but to beauty I was blind. In hope I gazed beyond the garden wall, yet words they would not come into my mind. I have no song, I have no verse, no rhyme. The pressure of my life bears down on me. My soul is shaded by the clouds of time, which stifles all my creativity. But help is now at hand. It's time for tea. That drink which cures all ills, my mind will free.
Thank you very much, Ray. We have now come to the end of this week's recording. We hope you have enjoyed it. When you have finished listening to the recording, can I remind you to place a USB stick in the wallet, reverse the label so that the cutout corner is at the top right-hand side, and post it back to us as soon as possible. Remember, wallets should only be posted in a post box. Do not post them in a post office. So, it's goodbye from the members of our team.
Thadine,
Nan,
Ray,
And Caroline.
And from Andrew, our engineer, Ray, our distributor, and from me, Jim. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Andrew.